I adopt the Victoria Beckham approach.
Oh, what's that?
Silence.
Love a bit of
Silence
beauty.
in the face of my enemies. God fights my battles.
Amen.
There will be justice, and I do not have to distribute it.
Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
What?
Energy. Hello and welcome back to Sisterhood. Now, this week we are talking about something that I love this topic. It's be real or be fake. We're going to discuss authenticity on social media. So I want to just ask the question off the bat. How real are we on social media? I mean, I know you don't have social media anymore, but when you did have it, how real do you think you were? How authentic?
I think I was authentic and real. However, I look back at pictures when I was on posting on social media and think about what I was doing in real life at that time, and I think my life was very different to how it looked. Yeah.
I feel like my social media is my personality. I post lots of jokes, post lots of silly pictures of me doing things and of me at work and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's like 25% of my personality. And the other 75%, I don't feel like needs to go online. I don't think that makes it inauthentic or like a lie. I just think that actually we need to be boundaried about choosing what we put out there.
And how much of ourselves.
And yeah, and they're the parts of me that like I love sharing with people and that people relate to and I can laugh with people and da-da-da. So that's why. Do you think that that's a lie? Am I lying? Do I have to post
lying?
The other 75% of myself crying in the shower?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, this is what I did this morning. I lamented on the floor. And
here's the pot noodle from last night. I'm now finishing.
Yesterday's closed today, because, you know. No, I mean, there is this whole thing about people only share the highlight reels.
Yeah.
Only the good things. But that's what the problem is. That's what people are saying. No, if you just share that, people will look at that and be like, oh, is that life then?
But why are we blaming the platform? Why are people going on social media thinking that that is reality, first of all?
Okay.
Because it's not, like, it can't be. Like you say, there's only so much you can give of yourself, and no one, well, I hope no one is sitting or is on social media for 24 hours a day. There'll be stuff going on in the background that you don't get to see. And that's just how it is for everyone. So I don't think anyone should be going on thinking, like, this is someone's true life, and then getting annoyed when they find out it isn't.
I think there's levels of not true life, though. Yeah. I think, like, the people who hire you, because you can pay for an hour to sit in a private jet just to take photos.
You can.
Yeah. And okay, I think if you're doing something like that, then that's ridiculous. Like anything that you see me post is something I've actually done. It's, you know, like, if I was in a private jet, to be honest, I'm not going to be in a private jet, but, like, you know.
You never know.
If I'm on the train, if I'm on the Wimbledon tram, right, and I decide to post a picture of myself, it's because I was there. It's not because I ran on, took a picture and ran back off again, you know? So I feel like not everyone's obliged to post everything, but also, if you don't own that car, don't stand next to it and take a photo of yourself, like, leaning up against it.
I don't know, why not? Unless you're saying, like, this is my car that I've just bought, and you'll do it then doing it. If you're just posting a random picture of yourself and you did hire a thing for an hour and you're in it.
But that's the problem. Like, okay, so you're now creating.
It depends on what you're saying about your life.
But
so you think if you don't write the words, here's me flying here on a private jet?
Well, I think it depends on the context, because if I was doing it and I wouldn't do that, because that's just not that's not very on brand for me. I don't even use that term, but anyway, it's not on brand for me. But if you are someone who flies a lot, for example, and you talk about airlines or, like, comfort when you're flying, and then you have a picture of yourself next to a PJ, like, why is that? What's wrong with that?
Sorry, did you just abbreviate private jet to PJ?
You know what I mean? Private jet.
Oh my
I feel like you fly in private jets, because
only someone who flies in private jets would say PJ.
No, PJ. I just don't think that. I feel like it's not.
But that's making people think that you then frequently use private jets, and then they have assumptions about your life oh my gosh, how much money does she make? Oh my gosh, and that's where it starts.
And where does
with
that
the
trail?
picture.
And where does that trail end up being a negative thing?
Because then they start to compare their own lives. Oh,
But
how
why
old
are
is
you
she?
doing that?
That's what the issue is. I get. If you
Okay.
get down to it,
I think
really,
it's
you shouldn't
negative
be-
for them, the people watching it. I think it's negative for you. I think if you're a person who feels the need to give people the impression that you're more affluent than you are and blah, 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 then what are
Okay,
you judging your value
yeah,
on and what
I
are
do
what
actually
your
stand
priorities?
by that. Yeah, that does make sense.
So I feel like no one wins when we literally fabricate to that extent. I think it's okay to omit, but not to fabricate. Because actually, like, it's just good boundaries and mental health not to share everything.
Okay, but what about if you're doing a shoot and you're then renting clothes rather than like wearing your own clothes or something?
Yeah, I think most people realise that if you're actually modelling something...
Well, not
then-
modelling. Say we're presenting, right? We're all wearing our own clothes at the moment, you think. But what if one of us or all of us...
Has had a designer supply clothes.
Exactly.
Well, that's different because it's television, isn't it? It's not my personal... I mean, social media, I assume if you're running your account, that's you putting your things out there, whereas this...
But is it?
It's... I assume. Obviously, some people don't run their own accounts, but social media, it is my
I think it's
media.
the same. Because
I rent dresses, but I do say that I've rented them. And I've done a big post about how I think that's environmentally friendly and we should be doing it more. And it means I've got a massive wardrobe that I didn't have before and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I guess renting clothes, renting a jet. But also, someone wearing a nice dress doesn't necessarily speak to a lavish lifestyle like somebody sitting in.
I think it depends how much the dress costs. If you're wearing Lanvin, then maybe it does.
I don't know if I would know how much a dress costs, though, you know?
If you're tagging brands. I'm not like I'm not like a stickler. I don't even use social media. I just think it's
Because you're coming in quite hard for this.
I know I am. I really am.
What are you fighting for here?
Let's just sit back in my box and be
I
quiet.
understand what you mean because essentially, a lot of things are perception. Essentially, if you really want to look at life, like even this set was built to give off a certain perception and everything.
This is your living room. Why are you saying that?
Guys, we are
in your
home.
house. With your
Oh
friend.
my
Mom,
gosh.
stop that! Like, I'm so sorry. But everything is a perception. But I guess it's to the extent to which you then get sucked into that perception.
And how honest you are, because people watching this won't be like, oh, I thought that was Cass's house. They'll think it's a set.
Yeah.
It's not Cass's house. Cass's house is
like this, to be honest.
pretty much bang on. Yeah.
It is like this.
Modelled
but
on this.
I guess, you have to. I guess it's up to the watcher to put things into context. If you're watching things like this on television, of course, it's a perception. Social media, you would like to think that people would know.
It's the intention behind it as well. Like, no one here is trying to make out like we're in our living room.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're posting yourself in a jet, your intention is that some people will misunderstand and think that you flew in a jet.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yes, Lauren. The intention.
I think so.
Yes. And because, I mean, a lot of the younger generation, so Ofcom did a study and the majority of 12 to 17-year-olds were confident that they could tell what is real and what is fake online. But when they actually done the tests, only 11% correctly selected in an interactive survey what was real and what was fake. So
how many thought they could?
a majority. It doesn't say the amount, but a majority of them thought,
And
yeah, we've got this.
They were
Only
wrong.
11%.
When you say real or fake, are we talking like AI? Are we talking like a fabricated
filters?
scene?
We're talking
filters.
things that, you know, is that a real video? Is that not a real video? Was that a real prank on a couple? Was that not real? So things like that. They thought, yeah, I can tell what's real and what's not. And actually, they could not. So, yeah.
I don't know if I would be. I tell you what, though, the AI stuff freaks me out.
It's quite scary.
The fact that you can like get someone's face and then suddenly they're doing something or they're, you know, and obviously that could be really dark or it could just be like light-hearted, funny, like, oh, here's dough on the moon. I don't care. I don't want to put dough on the moon unless she went to the moon. So stop making a computer generate dough on the moon. That's how I feel.
You want to go to the moon, doll?
Not particularly.
There you go. So let's not.
So there we go. There's no need for it.
There's no need.
It's just, it is so realistic. It's terrifying.
It is.
Well, look, what's it called when they make like versions of your
Deep fake.
deepfake, that freaks me out.
That is very
Deepfake
scary.
Like that. Yeah.
That is really,
So
really
deepfake,
scary.
can you just explain what that is?
So
properly?
deepfake is when you will use computers to, an actor will be there, so someone will be acting, but the face, they will make it into someone else. So you could be a celebrity. Kendrick Lamar did it for one of his videos, and he went from like Jussie Smollett to Will Smith to Nipsey Hussle, and he rapped as these people, and it was just very much like, wow, that could
I
be
thought
there.
that only happened in like Mission Impossible and stuff like that. It's scary to me.
I'm not seeing Mission Impossible, but
It didn't happen.
I was
Mission
gonna say,
Impossible. I was just using a
didn't.
random spy
Yeah.
film.
Okay. Yeah. We're really good on
We
spy
don't
films
know.
here. This is the expertise.
So when it comes to online, one of the issues that people have is that comparisons. So as we're talking about private jets and things, people will compare, and like you said, that is, I guess, the issue. But is it also our responsibility to not give people unrealistic things to compare to? So there's another study here. 90% of women report using a filter or editing their photos to change their skin tone, reshape their jaw, their nose, shave off weight, brighten, bronze their skin, whiten their teeth. Lip fillers, surgery, body enhancers, cosmetic procedures, all of these things. Is it our responsibility to not do things like that so we do not give people things to compare to? Or is it the responsibility of the person that is comparing?
I'm not going to talk because I don't use social media right now because I talked a lot, so I'll let you talk. But I have got thoughts on this.
What about when you model? Would you be okay with someone tweaking your image to make your bust bigger or your hips wider or change your complexion a bit?
My complexion, no.
No, you wouldn't have an issue with that.
Sorry, I would be unhappy if
You'd
my
be unhappy
complexion
if they
was
changed your skin tone
My
in
skin
any way.
tone, yeah. I can't. I don't know. I think with that, it would depend on the extent to which it's been done because if it was like, if I had like a huge spot on that day that I was really unhappy with personally, please edit it out.
Yeah.
Take it away. Out spot.
But if they were actually changing your body in a way
that made it look like I had a bigger bum or like bigger boobs or something, I wouldn't love it.
Yeah. Because I've seen those images, and I think it was Kate Winslet who really kicked up a fuss about one because they and this was a while ago, they really nipped her in and she felt that she couldn't attain her own image.
She couldn't what her image?
She wouldn't be able to look as good as that image that they'd edited of her, and that wasn't right. So she released the original, I think. I can't quite remember how it all played out. I never use filters on my social media, and I'm conscious that I want to post with no makeup on. So I do often like go on to my stories or whatever and post no makeup on, and I'll watch it back and be like, oh, you know, there is a part of me that's like, oh,
that perfection.
You know, like, okay, if I just put something on just to, you know, get rid of blotches or to, you know, something to accentuate my eyes. But actually, like, I think that I like that people will see me with a full face of makeup when I've put effort in and gotten dressed up, but I want people to see me both ways.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think that's really important. And like, when we were kids, we didn't have any of this, right? It was 16-year-olds teaching 16-year-olds how to do things. It was blind leading the blind. No one knew what you could look like. No one could see these, like, you know, teenage influencers who just look like grown women who are perfect makeup, amazing outfits. We were just there with our crimpers, our hair mascara, like, you look great, babe, you know, and I kind of like longed for that day where you just work it out together without these like insane role models to mirror.
It is crazy. I remember I used a app once that changes your whole face just to see.
To like slim your nose or pout your lips.
I literally looked at that and then I was like, wow, I look amazing. Then when I clicked on the picture, because if you held it down, it showed the original. And I was really upset that I didn't look like that. And I was like, oh, is that what I look like? And then I went back to the other one. I was like, oh. And then I thought, okay, what can I do to look more like that? And then I said, no, Cassandra.
Yeah.
It's okay that you look like a human. Because the other one was not human. And again, I guess that's a self thing that you have to work out.
Do you know what? I have actually used filters before on social media, and the reason why is because I don't wear makeup normally. And I can't be bothered with wearing makeup unless someone's doing it for me, I can't be bothered. And it made my skin look like I had makeup on. So I was like, well, it's achieving something for me, which means I don't need wet wipes later. I also
Is
wasn't
that the private jet? Is that your version of the PG?
I don't know, because I also...
PJ.
Can I just to clarify, one of my friends who is very wealthy used that in a sentence, and I was like, what is a PJ? And then she said private jet, and I was like, oh, and I've started using it since. So that is, I'm blaming her.
Okay.
That's where it came from.
Should we start on social media then, I guess, to kind of combat people comparing to unrealistic standards? Should we get people to label when we filtered things and say...
I thought filters already... Because when I did my Instagram stories, back in the days when I was on Instagram, the filter shows at the top. Does that not happen anymore?
Yes, but
on
posts,
stories?
no.
Oh,
So someone
I
can
did
post
it
a
on
picture
stories.
and you don't know if that's been
Oh, I see.
So should it be compulsory that people say, yes, this is what I have done to this picture. Do not compare yourself with this because it's not realistic at all.
I don't like the idea of mandating things like that. I think that we all have to make our own decisions, but I would hope that most people would want to do that. Either not to use the filter in the first place, or if they are going to make it clear that they've used a filter, because the difference is just phenomenal, you know, like, and I don't think it's fair to the people who are watching it. And also, we talk so much about young women. What about me? I look at these pictures and I'm like, my waist isn't small enough. You know, I'm not curvy enough. I don't have big enough lips. I don't have a defined enough jawbone. Where's my cheekbones? You know, like, actually, people who are 30s will sit around and be like, those poor teenage girls. But actually, like, I'm still a teenage girl inside when I see those, and I'm like, I'm not good enough. And I have to challenge that. I have to stop myself from doing that all the time.
Yeah, and to be fair as well, getting older is a problem to the world. It's like all of a sudden...
Doesn't this help? I don't know why I'm so supportive of this. Doesn't this help? Because if you older people who can get on social media and are understanding, like, can use all the tech, like, they can then show themselves or have this version of themselves which might be what they would want to attain in real life, and they then have like a version of themselves that they can look to rather than like looking like younger models, because they're like...
But should we be looking at a tweaked version of ourselves as to how we can change our appearance in real life?
No, but the kind of not there's only two options, but like women generally, for whatever reason, don't like to look at older versions of themselves. We like to look at, or we are drawn more to younger, what we think is like more fresh versions of ourselves. And if you are older and maybe you kind of miss that, you can use social media, you can use filters or makeup.
Shouldn't we be more encouraging women primarily
to embrace how we are,
to be okay aging?
Sure.
Because that's what the issue is. We are always pitted against 20-year-olds and you know, even younger and younger. But should it not be that society and us in ourselves, we embrace the fact that getting older is okay?
We should do.
Silver foxes, for example, with men, when they get older, when they get their grey hairs, that's a sexy thing. But for women, it's like, no, she's past it.
I know. For me, that's more like in an ideal world.
Yeah, that's what we should be maybe working towards.
Utopia.
And of course, just having real utopia.
This
having
side of heaven, I don't know if we're going to get that. But
I don't think so.
In heaven, you know,
maybe. When they have
no one will
Instagram
care about
heaven.
aging. Well, aging won't be a thing, will it? But
no.
There we go.
But yeah, I think we need to start showing real. So, for example, I have eczema, and I had the other day. I'm not laughing because it's funny, but it was kind of funny. I posted a video and this guy commented on the video saying, "Oh my gosh, has anyone seen her hands with like a vomit face?"
Oh my God.
And I immediately was like, "Oh, people just don't know what real skin is, like, or just real skin conditions." And people
just how to talk.
Just how to talk. Just how to scroll past.
Just how to communicate with people.
How's it necessary?
All of these different things. I was just like, oh. And I did reply and I said, I don't think anyone really cares.
Please
Because
don't
no
feel like
one
you have to
else
reply
cares.
things like that, though.
So I can't believe you replied.
Don't even waste your
I
time.
never
Don't even waste
replied
your
to
You see, I got very much like, there's days where I'm okay with it and there's days where I'm like, no, today you're going to hear me again. You're
Wow,
gonna hear what I
okay.
say. So there's days, but...
I don't think I've ever clapped back at someone who said something rude to me online.
Haven't you? It's
No.
quite fun sometimes.
I adopt the Victoria Beckham approach.
Oh, what's that?
Silence.
Love a bit of
Silence
beauty.
in the face of my enemies. God fights my battles.
Amen.
There will be justice, and I do not have to distribute it.
Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
What?
energy. You need to bottle that and sell
Absolutely.
that. Speaking of God, though, so I do want to get on to how we can be more secure, because we are Christians. We find our security in ourselves in Christ.
Yeah.
How do we give this to the younger generation?
And our generation, as you
and
said
our
earlier.
generation, and not even any person on the planet of any age, any species, anyone. How do we do that? How do we encourage that more?
I think we need to constantly reaffirm each other. It's very easy to start like spouting scripture, like God, God created us in His image. We're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah. Wow.
Great.
You just
I'm not dismiss. They are, but I don't like
yeah.
people just quote scripture and like there, deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't,
Therefore, that's the answer.
Yeah, I think we need to affirm each other, like these kind of conversations as well, talking about how it's difficult, how it feels, not to acknowledge the fact that you might post without makeup, but feel like, oh, I kind of wish I hadn't, and that's a very natural thing, and be okay with that. And for us to be like, you are absolutely beautiful, and for you to hear that and that kind of thing, it's a community thing, and like just I think affirmation is quite important. Yeah, affirmation with each other.
I think I definitely grew in. I think it took me a long time when I came to faith to like myself, to feel like I knew myself, to love myself, to feel comfortable showing myself in different ways that weren't polished. And I think it's a case of just encouraging and supporting people on that journey, because the more you know Christ, the more you are developed in your faith, and obviously it's not just a, it's a journey with ups and downs and things, but hopefully when you're really there, when you're really plugged into your maker and you're hearing what He's saying about you, that stuff is just, like heavenly mindset. That stuff just doesn't matter. And I'm not saying I'm there all the time. I'm probably there 20% of the time when I'd love to be more, but like, that's it. We support each other, just claiming back those percentage points as we go, as we grow in our faith. And I think that's really important.
Oh, yes. I love this. This is great. No, I think what you said about being honest when sometimes you might look at yourself and be like, I don't like that. That's a really great point. Rather than acting like that's not a thing at all. It's acknowledging this is how I feel.
Yeah.
But what's above that is who I am in Christ. Yeah.
Love that.
How honest do we, I mean, earlier we spoke about this, but I want to kind of bring it back a little bit. How honest do we get with what we're going through online? So if you're going through something, is it healthy to share that online, or do we keep that to ourselves? What are the boundaries that we have in place?
Do you know what, right? There's this whole sobriety movement that kicked off a few years ago on Instagram and social media and TikTok and all of that kind of stuff. And it's amazing. And it's often women, but a lot of the people who post from that are really encouraging, really inspiring. But often, actually, I'll see a new account crop up and it'll be like sober sister or something. And then they'll be like in their bio, like 3 weeks sober today. Can't wait to share my journey with you. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
Do not put yourself through that publicly right now. The first time anyone could Google anything about my sobriety and that journey, I was 4 years sober.
Wow.
I really waited until I was sure I knew what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, where I was at with God, that I was on firm ground. And as with faith, it's up and down, and sobriety is something that you have to be conscious of and you can't take for granted. It needs active work. So you'd never say, well, I would never say I'm like done, but I felt like I was in a secure place. I felt strong and I felt like I could share about it. So I do share about things I've gone through, only afterwards, and only long enough afterwards that I know what my message is and I know that I have something to say to someone who's in that place. Because if you're still in it, and I'm so 3 weeks sober.
That's a really great point.
Mess.
That's a really great
absolute
point.
Mess.
I think a lot of people may want to share that because vulnerability creates connection.
Yeah.
So they think sharing it in that vulnerable time is going to connect to people, but actually you could do more damage to yourself,
really can.
to them, if you share it while you're in it and in the thick of it. I like that point.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Okay, it sounds like you're about to say something that doesn't agree with that.
Well, because so my book, Still Standing, is about the wilderness journey and being in the middle of the journey before it's like the end and perfect. So it's before I'm married again, before I have another baby, and that, and I felt it was important to share a bit about that middle part.
Yeah.
However, I was also out of the divorce and the baby loss.
Yeah.
So I was
You shared
writing
it
about
after
that
it, though?
after, but it was still in the middle of a journey of grieving, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was at the end of it in the sense that I knew what I wanted to say, like you said earlier. I didn't feel like I was still grappling deeply with those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still wanted people to know that it's not over though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it's sharing stuff, being vulnerable with your journey, not acting like everything is perfect, but when you're in a space to be able to take the weight of doing that, you can
100%.
actually help other people, because you
Yeah.
cannot help people if you need help yourself. So I guess that's
You summed that up so well.
That was really
really impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
You should write the little bit on the back of the books. That's
I'm
this
gonna
is
actually.
what-
I think I might do
blurb.
that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
blurb.
Still
That's,
start
You're
hosting
done
like
here.
shows and things, and just kind of helping us
Wow.
understand
Yes.
about
Thank
the
you,
world.
guys. Affirmation. You see?
Yeah. Coming back to you.
Thank you so much for watching. What a really great conversation. Now, do not forget to hit the notification bell. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, leave your comments as well, because we want to read them all. And tune in next time for another episode.